Artificial Intelligence Minister Evan Solomon says he is disappointed after a meeting with OpenAI officials about their safety policy. The meeting came after reports emerged that the Tumbler Ridge shooter was flagged internally and banned from ChatGPT over her troubling post, but that information was not shared with Canadian police until after the shooting. So, do AI companies have a moral obligation to alert authorities of troubling posts, or does user privacy come first?
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, this is an example of where, like, the law is woefully behind these changes in tech. And roughly, apparently, about a dozen employees actually did flag this, and they this account, and they advocated to contact police. But instead, OpenAI made the decision that it didn't meet the thresholds that they felt were necessary.
12 people.
12 people disagreed, but they just banned the account. And I'm just today thinking of the parents of the victims. I would be absolutely outraged. I don't know what the answer is, but I know that this is something that should cause for alarm for all of us.
I will ask a practical question because I too think of the parents of the children who were lost, etc. And everybody is trying to figure out the magic answer to how do you prevent a mass shooter from this kind of mayhem and chaos and tragedy. The real hard part about this for me is there is so much violent content online. If you actually ask tech companies, they'll tell you violent content is everywhere. However, the studies also show that that doesn't actually translate into real-world violence. In fact, that's very, very rare. And if you have millions and millions of users who, even though I'm asking the question, why are you posting violent content? How do you practically go, well, there's millions of people posting stuff. How do we know which is the needle in the haystack? Who's the one who's going to actually act on it? Because it's actually really rare. And in this case, the police had been to the shooter's house many, many times. Did you know that the shooter was even put in jail and assessed for mental health concerns? So it's not that the police weren't already onto this person. So what would have the difference been? I'll be honest. They were already on the police's radar.
I don't know. This is such a tough conversation to have. I'm also thinking about the parents because it's easy for us to have a conversation here and it's a very important one. But for them, as they are looking at that empty bedroom, wondering why 12 people knew about something and didn't do something, I think that this tragedy should not just be a conversation, but we should be learning from this situation and how we fix it. Not all the issues of, oh, well, we can't, and this is the privacy. How do we fix it so we don't have another set of parents who are mourning, trying to understand why their child is not coming back from school? So I implore Evan Solomon and the police department to come up with an answer. This is 2026. Figure it out, because we should not be revisiting any situations like this again. I know that there are all of these issues and that, you know, you can't always catch everybody, but let's do our best to not have this repeat again. That's my
I think that they need to do something, right? It shouldn't be a situation where 12 people are having enough of an alarm where they're actually running it up the ladder at work, right? And then to have the police go and for nothing to happen, something has to be done. I think that what's important as we have these conversations with ourselves is that we leave room for nuance and we also think about precedent. So as this AI and this tech kind of becomes more surveilling of us, we have to think about the precedent that a ruling or a policy like that would set, especially if we think about the kinds of authorities that this kind of information goes to. So I live in the States, where we're under Republican government. In Tennessee, they just proposed a bill that would allow the death penalty for an abortion.
Correct.
So if you are giving information that is supposed to be protected under data privacy to authorities that will sentence the death penalty for an abortion, we just have to be careful of how that precedent is allowed in a Supreme Court and a court of law.
It's a really good point.
It's how it could be used, and it could be used for good or it could be used for bad.
And we are, to be very clear, in a world where that is an actual concern.
Right?
It's actually happening. Especially as women, especially as young people. Like, there are very real world concerns with data and with authority and the mixing of that intersection.
Fair.